as we're joined on Pacific Days by also Andrea Low, Associate Creator, Contemporary and World, and Fuli Pereira, Creator of the Pacific and World collections from the Auckland Museum, to share some of the beautiful Fijian textiles in their collection. And this afternoon we say, Nisambula Vinaka, there, Fuli. Lovely to have you on board.
Isambula Vinaka Tupuola, thank you for having us again. You're very generous to allow us to bring our collections, our treasures to our community, so we feel very grateful.
You know, just before we kick things off, let's warm things up. You know, throughout the week of the Fijian Language Week, how has it been, the aura or the feeling, sort of just quickly in the museum while we leading up to Fijian Language Week for the last few days? How's the atmosphere in that end?
Yeah, it's really good. Only negative, I guess, it's only a tiny one, is that, you know, people are so busy in the communities with their own activities. But we do try and take the opportunities to make treasures available if and when they would like to come and see them. So yeah, there's a bit of a buzz. So that's nice. And we had some visitors through yesterday. We had a community day. No, not yesterday, Wednesday.
Nice.
And yeah, we had a bit of interest then. Yeah.
Well, I think as we speak, there are more people who are ever listening and doing nothing. They can actually know my harama to check out the lovely, well, as we speak now. Tell us, run us through now, where are these tiles sourced, is our first question to start off.
Sorry, I didn't quite get that.
Now, where were the tiles sourced? Now, where were all these lovely displays? Where were they sourced from?
Yeah, they're from all over the place. They're from all over Fiji. I have to say that the majority of them are probably from Pākehā Wālangi descendants of original owners. For example, let's go to that. This is I lalakai, which is a food platter.
Wow.
And it's been in the museum since 1924. So it's, you know, obviously over 100 years old, and made of coconut leaf. And as you may know, coconut leaf can last for a long time in certain circumstances. So in an environment that we can provide in the museum, they will last for, you know, probably over 300 years. And this one came to us in about 1924. So it's at least, you know, it could have been made in the turn of the century, like the 1800s,
right.
late 1800s, early 1900s. So, you know, and it's a beautiful, beautiful example of, you know, just very simple food platters,
very
but
nice.
Very significant. They delicately created these ones for chiefly feasts. And so apparently this one would have been laden very nicely with taro or some other tubers and would sit next to the chief during feast. So that's lovely. And we know that probably came from a man named Edge Partington, who was in the Pacific in the 1880s.
Yes.
And picking up a lot of things, and he wrote in his diary where he was, you know, what day he was in a particular spot. So we, you know, we have really good provenance for some of the material that he has gifted to the museum. And also another, probably 100 years old, because this has also been in the museum.
Wow.
It's a alawa. It's a net, fishing net. It came to the museum in 1924. It's made of European cotton, and it's you know, kind of a double ply. You can see here where it's been twisted. So it's two lengths of fibre where it's just rolled together on your leg, and then that creates the rope. And here,
wow,
we have associated with it the, I'll put it here, Jimmy. do a close-up. We have the associated netting, what is it called?
Shuttle.
Netting shuttle. So this is used to create the net.
The net, wow. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing little tool.
It's found right through the Pacific from Southeast Asia, all the way to Hawaii and Easter Island. These, they probably haven't changed, probably internationally.
Right.
They're the perfect shape for creating the kind of netting in here. The only thing that's missing is the gauge, and the gauge will give, is what helps actually gauge the size.
The size and the actual shapes of the actual net, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And this one has attached along the lower edge shells, seashells, quite heavy. They're not, for weight. So that's the end that gets breaking down in the water. Unfortunately, these are, over 100 years old. They've been in the museum, so they're quite dry and quite brittle, and so very light. So I don't think that they would work very well as weights today. But yeah, it's really good that we had the Pacific Collections Access Project, because we were able to get the Indigenous names for a lot of this material. So we know that this is Ilawa. We know also the E Lalakai, the food planter.
Yes.
And what was the name that was also given to us for combs, traditional combs, are Iseru Sata, and they refer to coconut leaf midrib. So all of these prongs are made of the coconut midrib,
yes,
and then tied together by natural sennit fibre or dyed brown sennit fibre. And then it also allows you to create these quite decorative lashing elements as well. And unlike, European combs, these weren't actually built to comb our hair. We used them as decorative head ornaments.
yes.
Mostly chiefly people would wear them, male or female.
Male or female.
And it's really hard for us to decipher the difference between the Tonga, Fiji, and Samoa, who all had these types of
combs.
saddle.
Yes.
Yeah, and because there was, in ancient times, there was a lot of movement between those, Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, a lot of material just kind of circulated, and they created.
They almost did it like a trading between each other in terms of what they wanted, whether it was stone or timber or fibre to make tangatu. As like you can see there, that comb looks special as well. So yeah, Tika, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yep, and and a classic also is the e tonga. The fine mats that were made in Samoa and moved around, the the red parrot feathers were from Fiji, and then used as, exchanges, ceremonial exchanges between Tonga, Fiji, and Samoa. We have a really lovely collection of those if anybody's interested in coming to see them. And, well, how are you doing for time?
No, you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time. Yeah, maybe 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. And we're told that this lovely thing can be called a basket, a basket, or a purse, and it's made from from a local tree called a vai tree. Apparently in Fiji, it's called the vai, and so these are usually red, a bright red. Whereas these are the smaller seeds from that tree, and they're made and they're strung together. I think this one is using cotton thread,
Wow.
and made into these. We have lots of necklaces, some bracelets made of these seeds, and they're absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if they're making them today, but this one came to the museum, I think, in 1938.
Wow.
So, again, almost 100 years old.
And it still looks
Um,
good for a 100-year-old item. Look how
isn't it?
it looks good from here, from where I can see it.
Yeah.
Man, it must have taken them, I don't know, maybe a month. It'll be interesting to know how long it took them to make these craft, because
Yeah,
it
because
doesn't
you
look
have to.
easy.
No, it isn't easy because they're so tiny. They're so tiny, but you have to drill. I don't know if you can get in close enough to see a drill hole in one end
Wow.
to allow you to, to kind of tie these things together. So every single one of them has to have a hole drilled into it, and then a thread pulled through to
That is
create.
amazing.
It is amazing. And while we're here, Walla, if you don't mind us, because Richmond doesn't
Sure.
have a language week, we'll just do a little shout out to Richmond. And
Oh,
these
thanks, yeah.
a skirt and a top combo. They are topua, and they're made of a very lovely and soft pandanus with the bright kind of upper layer on the outside. Oh, actually, I think they're double.
Double layer?
And then and then they have woven patterning through the waist part, and with the inclusion of some, and then you'll see that with the fringe, they've actually shredded some of the lengths of pandanus to create the rest of the skirt.
Do you know how long, or have they given you details on how long it makes these type of things? Because that looks like it would have taken them more than a month for that sort of time. Yeah, do you guys sort of get that information, or how long it takes them to create these crafts?
Yeah, unfortunately, because so few of them are being made today, it's we've found it quite difficult to find makers.
Right.
This is, I think, 1938, I think. Yeah, and unfortunately, the majority of this material was brought in by descendants of Pākehā, collectors who pick these things up.
Yes.
And do we have time to show you one more?
Sure. No, go ahead.
This is a matiketa, so it's a stencil patterned piece of bark cloth. They're long, they're really long. Some of these can go up to 6 meters long. They have a fringed edge, and this one is really old. It's from the late 1800s, probably about 1880s.
Wow.
And you see that Fiji is one of the few places in the Pacific that use stencils. Everybody else uses,
by hand.
rubbing boards.
Or rubbing boards. Yep.
But Fiji, they use predominantly they use stencils. And you'll see here, this is really old and fragile, and you can see here where there are some wear marks. But here there used to be a really big tear, and the museum has a really good conservation department and trained conservators. And so part of their work is to stabilise some of this old material so that it doesn't get, even more damaged while they're here. So I'll show you the back of it, so you'll see. You can see a bit there. So this is Japanese tissue that the museum uses because it kind of disappears from the front.
Yes.
And Japanese tissue, because it doesn't degrade the bark cloth. Yeah, and it keeps the fibres together so it doesn't tear anymore, and it really enables us, staff, to put these things on display or lay them out like they are now for communities to visit
Man,
and
that is
view.
amazing. Mm.
You know, we get quite anxious when things are torn, and but it's unfair for that our communities can't see these things because they're so delicate. And so
So
having
delicate. Cool, yeah.
conferences, yeah, has been really good
Mm.
for museums to enable us to do community engagement.
Wow, that is amazing. I'm so lost for words. Fully, how many Fijian items approximately held in, in Auckland Museum itself?
Yeah, I think from memory, and we have very large collections. We have about almost 30,000. I think the Fiji collection numbers about 2,000,
Wow.
about the 2,000 mark. It's one of our biggest Pacific collections.
Wow. Any anything else that you want to add quickly, and before we wrap up this amazing display of collection of textiles and art and craft from the Fijian culture?
Yeah, well, this, our collections belong to the public. We are funded by the City Council, and so is our libraries. And
Kanaka.
so if anybody wants to see some of this material, come and study it and have a closer look at it. All you need to do is to call me or Jimmy and make an appointment, and we'll help you as much as we can, because these collections do belong to the community. We're just here to make sure they last long enough for community people to come in and view them.
Vinaka
Yeah, so
Vakalevu, Fully, and to also your amazing team. I know that you guys do such a huge job on, displaying, restoring our Pacifica items and textiles and historical artifacts. It's amazing work that you guys do. And thank you so much for joining us. And in terms of the celebrating of the Fijian language, ngā mihi kia koe, whaftai te le lava to you and the team. Manuia lava tō aso, and hopefully that we'll meet up again. And so you guys will display this throughout the whole entire week, or for such a long time? And
I think they're out until Monday, so we'll be back in the office on
there
Monday.
you go, Whānau. If you're doing nothing, pop on down, see Fuli and the team, and then celebrate the Fijian Language Week as we, now, even though it's only for a week, but we try our best to continue. But at least the Auckland Museum will give you more the authenticity and getting close to if you haven't been to the islands, well, there you have it. Go see Fuli, and she'll really and the team as well, they will really take you to the islands by seeing some of the art and craft and the textiles and the amazing artifacts that's restored and held in our lovely home, Auckland Museum. Thank you so much, Fuli and the team.